A house cat will bring years of companionship and pleasure. Cats are clean, quiet animals with simple, easily met demands. With cat ownership comes responsibilities for the health and well-being of an animal for up to 20 years. From the Guelph Humane Society, Shelter Manager Lorna Ronald.
When you're adopting a cat, you're certainly looking at a big commitment. There is a time commitment. Most cats that are kept indoors live to be 15, 18 years of age. So you're looking at a long time down the road, and you have to plan ahead and make sure you are prepared time-wise and financially-wise for that commitment. Financially, you're looking at least $40 to $50 a month just with your food bills and litter, of course. And on top of that, you have your veterinary fees that during the first years are normally at least $100 or so. And then, of course, yearly from then on, the cat requires vaccinations. And if there are any health problems that might occur, it's a very expensive venture going into adopting a cat.
In this video, you will learn how to care for your cat as we examine taking care to select a healthy cat, caring for your cat when you first bring it home, the special care of a kitten, the care of the older cat, as well as general cat care techniques. Along the way, we'll also dispel some commonly held cat care myths. First, selecting a healthy cat. Cats come in an almost infinite variety of colors, shapes, and sizes. Personal preference will guide you to the type of cat you want, but the final selection should be based on the animal's health and temperament, rather than on its appearance. Veterinarian Craig Cornell of the Cornell Animal Hospital in Guelph.
Basically, what you want to look for is, number one, is that the cat is healthy, and number two, that it has a nice disposition. The disposition of the cat is something you have to live with for the next 10, 12, 15 years. And if you don't get a cat that's got a nice disposition, you're going to find that this cat can be a real problem. And once you have the cat, there's no way that you're going to be able to get rid of that cat. They become a part of the household very, very rapidly, even though they are real tyrants. This is a mature domestic short-haired cat. You can see that his coat is very smooth. It lies down. When you stroke it, it's nice and shiny. It's a very nice, healthy little cat. The eyes are nice and clear. There's no redness, no discharge in the eyes. So this is a cat that's not really got any problems. The ears, if you look down in the ears, they're nice and clean. There's no black wax, no problems like that. Their teeth are very white and shiny, also very long. When you look at a cat when you're first getting it, these are one of the prime areas to look at. You look at the ears, you look at the eyes, you look at the nose, you look at the color of the gums. They should be nice and pink like that. Yeah, nice and pink that is. So that even with a young kitten, it should be just the same way. Other things you can look for is to make sure that the cat has a nice even hair coat. If the cat has patches of hair missing somewhere and scales on the skin, then you've probably got a skin problem there. Have a good look, just lift the tail, look underneath there. If the cat has diarrhea, it will be all messy underneath the tail.
Let's review the main things to look for when choosing a cat. Eyes, ears, nose, and anus free of discharge. A shiny coat with no bald patches. Pink gums and healthy white teeth. Skin free of rashes and lesions. Responsiveness to sounds and movements. It's a common cat care myth that cats are comfortable being carried by the scruff of the neck. Avoid this practice. It is uncomfortable and may be harmful to the cat. Cats may have 9 lives, but they're not indestructible. Pick up a cat carefully. Support both its front and back legs. Begin by placing one hand under its chest, supporting its front legs, and then put the other hand around the rear quarters of the cat. You've selected your cat and now must make it welcome in its new home. To care for your new friend properly, you must provide a supply of cat food, Use the brand that the cat is used to. A bowl for food and one for water. A scratching post. A litter box and supply of kitty litter, placed away from the cat's sleeping and eating areas. A sleeping box or basket placed out of drafts, away from main traffic areas in the house. A cat collar with elasticized escape band. And a brush or comb for grooming. Relocating to its new home can be traumatic to an animal. Dr. Craig Cornell.
When you bring the new cat home, it's like bringing a new baby home. You should not do too many new things all at once. The best thing to do is to find a nice quiet spot for its nest box, put the cat in there, and leave it alone. Just let it rest for a few hours and try and keep the kids away. Don't let them, be pestering the cat to death all the time.
If there are other pets in the household, keep them away until the new animal has begun to feel at home. Have your dog on a leash during the first encounter between cat and dog. Contrary to what many people believe, dogs and cats can cohabit very amicably and often become best of friends. Once the kitten has had time to investigate its new home, it will begin to relax and groom itself. This is a good time to offer it its first meal. To avoid antagonizing the older pets, feed the new kitten in its own bowls, away from the others. A cat under 12 months of age is a kitten. In this time period, it has special needs. Kittens acquire some immunity from their mother's milk, but this lasts only until they are about 6 weeks of age. To ensure that your kitten enjoys a long and healthy life, early health care is critical. Craig Cornell.
When you get your new kitten and take him to see your veterinarian for the first time, he will set up a program for you. If the kitten has come from the Humane Society, it probably has already had its first vaccination. You will have a form that will indicate what has been given to the cat, and your veterinarian will then set up a timetable for the next ones. Kittens are routinely vaccinated for distemper, rhinotracheitis, Gleason virus, rabies, and feline leukemia.
Caring for your cat includes teaching it how to behave. A well-trained cat makes a better pet and knows how to behave in your home. The basic rules that your cat must be taught are where to urinate and defecate, what furniture or rooms are out of bounds, and where to sharpen its claws. The first step in training is to give your kitten a name. Name it as early as possible and use the name consistently. Here, Lorna Ronald demonstrates how to determine what sex the cat is.
I'm just going to show you how to identify a female cat. You just look at the back end and you can see it looks as though it's an upside down exclamation mark. This is a 4-month-old male cat, and if you look at the back end, you will note it looks like a colon. And this cat has not, his testicles haven't dropped yet because he's not old enough. So that when he gets older, the testicles will be more prominent and will have dropped. Normally at about 6 to 7 months of age.
An important part of care is training your cat to obey your commands. Simple one-word commands like no, down, or out, repeated regularly, are the best way to communicate with your cat. When it does something you wish to discourage, say no firmly and remove it from the activity.
No, Tuffy. No.
If it is up on something where it shouldn't be, issue a firm down command and lift it down.
Tuffy, down. Down.
When it does something you wish to encourage, like using the kitty litter or scratching post, praise it. Praise for good behavior is much more effective than punishment for bad. Litter training a kitten is simple. Provide a clean, readily accessible litter box and be sure that the kitten knows where to find it. A kitten needs to urinate or defecate frequently, right after eating or drinking, and each time it wakes up. For the first few days, monitor the kitten's activities closely and put it into the litter box immediately after it awakes and right after each feeding. If it appears not to understand what the litter is for, hold its front paws gently and make scratching motions with them. Stroke and praise your cat when it performs. It is a common myth that rubbing a cat's nose in its mess will solve the problem. This practice is ineffective, stressful for the cat, and may actually make the problem worse. Simply pick up the kitten and put it into its litter box.
If he has an accident on your rug, the last thing you want to consider is punishment. Number one, the cat doesn't know why he's being punished. If you can catch the cat in the act, grab him quick, put him in the litter box.
Train your cat to know where it is allowed to sharpen its claws. Scratching is a natural activity for cats, serving two purposes. It keeps their claws sharp by removing loose scales, and it helps them mark their territory with a scent from glands in the foot pads.
One of the first things you have to do is to try and get your cat used to using his claws or sharpening his claws on something that's acceptable. A piece of wood works well with bark on it, canvas. It's best not to use carpets that's the same as the carpet you've got on the floor, because that's pretty hard for the cat to differentiate which you can use and which you can't. Try and have something for the cat to work on. If you take your kitten and take its front feet and work it into the log or whatever you have decided to use, and show them where it is and what it's for. And if you catch them using something else as a scratching post, take them off, put them back on the log, and teach them again. One of the things that you can do to train a cat is a very simple water squirter. One of these little things that will squirt, or a water gun, anything like that. If you have a problem with the cat and it persistently is sharpening its claws on your furniture or on the curtains or whatever it is, if you can catch the cat doing it and give him a little shot of water, you won't hurt him. That's the first thing. Second thing is he won't know you did it, so he won't be afraid of you. And it will stop the cat. He'll say, gee, every time I go to do this, this water comes from somewhere, scares me, and I don't like that. So they quickly learn that way. It's quite harmless to do that for a limited amount so that you can train them. It's more aversion therapy than teaching them to do something. It's teaching them not to do something.
Sometimes even the most conscientious efforts to interest your cat in a scratching post are unsuccessful. Here, the solution is to have the cat declawed. This simple, painless procedure is performed under anesthetic by a veterinarian. Neutering is the surgical removal of the cat's reproductive organs. A female cat is spayed, a male cat is castrated. Veterinarians recommend neutering at about 6 months of age. Neutering is essential for two reasons. First, control of the burgeoning cat population. Second, elimination of undesirable mating behaviors in mature cats.
Even if your cat does have one litter and you are able to find homes for all those cats, that means that homes have been lost at the local animal shelter where there are hundreds and hundreds of unwanted animals that unwanted cats that need to be placed into homes. So you're taking homes away from already unwanted animals.
Unneutered cats often exhibit unwanted behavior. Here's Craig Cornell.
The advantages in the spaying, number one for the female, you don't have the cat coming in heat. Cats vary a little bit, but mostly when they come in heat, they are very noisy at night. We get phone calls in the middle of the night all the time. My cat's in pain, something's terrible is going on, is rolling around on the floor screaming, and all it is the cat's in heat. Well, the next day the cat comes in to be spayed. One night like that, and that's it. It also prevents having kittens, obviously, because when the cat is spayed, the ovaries and the uterus are removed. This also prevents problems with the uterus when the cat gets older. If the cat still has a uterus when it gets old, That uterus will become more flaccid. It is very susceptible to infections. So there are many advantages to having the cat spayed. Castration, the main advantage is to stop the tomcat behavior. Tomcats spray urine. They'll spray in the house. They'll spray around other people's houses, and people don't appreciate it because tomcat urine is very, very smelly. It's really strong. It will also help to keep the cat from going out of its own territory looking for females. Because when there's a cat in heat down the street, your cat goes down with all the other tomcats, and then they have a big fight to see who's going to be the, what will we say, mate? So it stops a lot of this fighting. Tomcats, if you ever see an old tomcat outside, he usually has great big cheeks. And people say, oh yeah, look at the big cheeks on that cat. Well, that is actually great, thick, scarred skin from all the fighting that the tomcats do. So it prevents that. It generally makes the cat a little bit more placid, a little bit nicer pet to have them castrated.
There are two myths that surround neutering. One of these is that a female will make a better pet if she's allowed to have kittens. This is not true. Although she will be more settled during the nursing period, once the kittens are weaned, her original disposition will reemerge. The second myth concerns obesity in neutered cats.
The myth about the cat becoming fat after it's been spayed or castrated has a lot to do with the fact that you spay them and castrate them at the time they finish growing. If you continue to feed the cat as much after its growth is finished, it will get fat. And that period of time, unfortunately, coincides with the time that they are spayed and castrated.
Over the course of your cat's life, you'll need to know how to handle illness, medication, fleas, safety, feeding, grooming, and travel. No matter what age your cat, from kitten to senior citizen, most aspects of good cat care remain the same. Central to this are a healthy diet and annual visits to your veterinarian for checkups and vaccinations. Recognizing the signs of illness in your pet is an important aspect of good cat care. Watch your cat's posture and behavior for clues to the state of its health. A cat sprawled on its side or back is a healthy and contented cat. A sick cat is easy to recognize. Some common signs of illness are listlessness or prolonged sitting in a hunched position, staring into space, a loss of appetite, frequent unsuccessful attempts at urination or defecation, urinating or defecating in unusual locations, discharge from the eyes, ears, nose, or anus, a dull, lifeless coat with excessive shedding or bald spots, or dry, flaky skin, and chronic sneezing or coughing. Cats are generally healthy animals. If you notice unusual behavior or illness, contact your veterinarian. Occasionally, you may need to give your cat medication prescribed by a veterinarian. This is not difficult if you organize the necessary materials beforehand and follow the correct procedure.
And the best way to give a cat a pill is to put him on something like this, like the top of the clothes dryer, where the cat is not used to being. When the cat is somewhere where it can't dig its claws in, it's much more likely to be quiet. The best method for giving a cat a pill is to put it on something like this, have it down so it's not standing up, put your hand over the head like that, and there's two bones, ridges of bones right here. If you just take that and turn it right back over the cat's head. See how the mouth opens up? You just open up and drop the pill to the back of the throat, and it's gone. Now, you don't have to stick your finger down the way I did. If you just hold the cat's mouth shut, you'll see his tongue come out. Every time the cat swallows, his tongue comes out. So when he swallows, the tongue comes out and the pill is gone. He didn't appreciate that. If your cat is too active and doesn't want to cooperate for that, the best thing to use is just a big bath towel. just wrap it around the cat like this. And then you can take the cat and give it the pill. This stops the front feet from coming up and scratching you. If he tries to scratch, he just catches in the towel. It doesn't do him any harm, and it protects you from being scratched up.
Pain relief preparations such as ASA and acetaminophen are extremely toxic to a cat, and even the smallest dose can lead to death. An unfortunate side effect of having a cat is that sooner or later in its life, it's likely to get fleas.
If your cat has fleas, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of them if the cat has had fleas for a long time. The secret of getting rid of fleas is to get rid of them as soon as the cat gets them. You should inspect the cat's coat, particularly in the period of time from July through till freeze up in the fall. It's very simple to find fleas. You don't have to actually see the flea. What you look for is the bowel movements of the flea. If you rub the fur on the cat in front of the tail, up the back, so that you can see down to the skin, you will see little tiny black specks like pepper. If you see those specks, you've got fleas. If you take a few of those specks, if you're in doubt, put them on a wet white paper towel, wait for a few minutes, you'll find that they will dissolve and leave a red mark. And that is dried blood, because that is what the flea eats, is sucks blood. If you find your cat has fleas, the best thing you can do is contact your veterinarian, and he will try and advise you as to the best way of treating the fleas. There are many ways of treating fleas. The products used for treating fleas vary from flea collars, flea sprays, flea powders, flea mousses, flea baths, sprays for the household, sprays for the yard, all sorts of things. And then again, you can have your house fumigated. The thing that you have to remember about fleas is understand the life cycle of the flea. The flea does not normally live on the animal. It feeds there. The animal, as far as the flea is concerned, is a restaurant. He feeds, has a bowel movement, and leaves. And that is the, if you understand that, then you realize that a lot of the attention you pay to flea eradication has to be applied to your house.
The cat's tendency to explore, play, and sample can often get it into trouble in your home.
The hazards around the home are usually associated with the cat pulling things down on himself, chewing on electrical cords, eating things he shouldn't eat. Kittens love to play. They love to play with string, thread, things like this. All of these things can cause very serious problems for your cat. Tinsel on a Christmas tree is very bad for cats because it is very sharp, and as it passes through the intestinal tract, will cut the intestines. And every year at Christmas time, veterinarians have to operate to take tinsel out of cats. So anything that is stringy, it doesn't matter whether it's string, wool, thread, whatever. One of the most common things we find is that someone will be sewing and they're sitting in a nice comfortable chair. They'll finish sewing, stick the needle in the arm of the chair, the thread's hanging down, cat comes along, plays with the thread, swallows the needle. And then you have a problem. So all these things, chemicals, all this sort of thing, you should be very careful, because cats, particularly kittens, have a tendency to eat anything or chew on anything that they find around. If you find your cat chewing on an electrical cord or your stereo cord or something like that that you don't want him to chew on, if you just take some Tabasco sauce and rub it on there, he will get a surprise the next time he licks that. And he will learn very quickly not to do it. You should be particularly careful of things that cats like the taste of. One of the things that is the worst for cats and is very, very toxic for them is antifreeze. And that doesn't just include antifreeze that's dripping out from underneath your car. It also can apply to some of the window sprays that are used. Window washer fluid. All those things, you have to be careful. It doesn't take very much to make a cat very, very ill.
The pet food industry in North America is a multi-billion-dollar business. The age and stage of development of your cat dictate its nutritional needs.
Most cat foods and dog foods today are produced in three forms, sometimes four. There is the kitten or puppy food, there is the mature maintenance food, there is a light diet for cats that are getting too fat and need fewer calories, and there is quite often a senior's diet or a geriatric diet. So these things are the first series that you go through in the cat's life, and then later on there may be other much more specific changes necessary.
In its first 12 months, a kitten is growing rapidly and has high energy and protein requirements.
Kittens need special care and special food, and normally what we suggest here at the shelter is that people talk to the veterinarian, but they should be fed a high quality, high protein food, and there are three types of foods: canned, dry, and semi-moist. Normally we recommend dry kitten food with a supplement of canned food 4 to 5 times a day for a kitten, and lots of fresh water.
Eating habits and the amount of food needed vary with each cat. Free access feeding, where food is left in the dish at all times, works well for most cats. They will nibble the food over the course of the day and never overeat. Some cats, however, will eat everything in the dish and readily accept more. These cats will become overweight without your help. Regulate their feeding by removing the dish after 5 minutes.
Many people try and feed cats different types of food. They think, well, the cat likes the liver, he likes my bacon, he likes this sort of thing, he likes dog food, any kind of other food. The cat is a very peculiar animal. It has a completely different metabolism than any other animal does. You have to feed special foods which are very high in nutrients and very high in calories to satisfy the cat. Dog food is not balanced for cat. It doesn't have the essential ingredients in it for cats. Neither does people food. So, very important, a cat should have cat food.
Many cats will enjoy an occasional bowl of milk. However, some are unable to digest it and will experience diarrhea and discomfort. In any case, it is essential to provide a bowl of fresh water for the cat at all times. A well-fed and healthy cat is ready to play. Cats are curious and naturally playful. Watching your cat play is part of the joy of owning a cat. Anything from a simple piece of crumpled paper to the most elaborate of manufactured cat toys will amuse and please it. There are good and bad toys for cats. Good toys include a catnip toy, a rubber or plastic cat toy, a spool or ball on a string, an old sock rolled up, or a paper bag or cardboard box. Other toys can be dangerous. These toys may choke or strangle the cat or injure its digestive system. Cats shed. Regular brushing will keep shedding to a minimum. Brush a short-haired cat once or twice weekly. A long-haired cat needs daily grooming to prevent fur balls and matting. Mats are patches of knotted fur that result from infrequent brushing. If mats form in the cat's fur, they should be carefully cut away. Cats clean themselves by licking.
All this hair that we're talking about causes a condition called fur balls or hair balls in the cat. And what happens is that the cat is very fastidious. It's always cleaning itself, grooming, and with its rough tongue, it picks up hair and swallows it. And that is indigestible, of course. It sits in the stomach, rolls up into a ball or a tube, and is either vomited up or passed in the stool. If you see one of these cigar-shaped things on the carpet, you'll know your cat has hairballs. If you have a long-haired cat, you're probably better off to routinely give the cat a hairball preventative, which is a very mild laxative mixed in usually a flavored base that the cat will lick right out of a spoon. With short-haired cats, it's not quite so important. Usually the worst time is the shedding period in the spring and in the fall.
Cats usually keep their claws well manicured by sharpening them regularly. However, from time to time, it may be necessary to trim the claws yourself. This is simple and painless if done properly. Here's veterinarian and pet groomer Christine Steck of Royal City Animal Hospital.
When we clip, we don't want to clip into the pink part, which is the quick. Can you get a close-up there? Because that would make it bleed and that would hurt. Oh. Easy. Okay. Good girl. Are you getting fed up? Cats have a thumbnail, and you can't forget about that one. We missed one on this too. There, what a good girl.
To trim the cat's back paws, it's easiest to scoop it up, reassure it, and continue as with the front paws, making sure not to cut into the pink area of the claw. Cats are naturally clean animals and generally need very little grooming help. If the cat becomes very muddy or soiled with a poisonous or hard-to-remove substance, or becomes infested with fleas, bathing is necessary. Christine Steck explains.
Here we go, Bijou. Okay, we're going to put a rope around Bijou, and we don't want the rope to strangle her. So we'll put it around her head and underneath one leg. And that way, when we snug up the rope, we've got control of her, but it can't hurt her. Okay, there's a good girl. And take a few minutes to calm her down. She's getting upset now. Now comes the tricky part, which is turning on the water. Let her adjust to that for a minute. You want the temperature to be hand warm. That's about 32 or 33 degrees centigrade. Come on, Bijou. She may try and run away, and that's okay because you can let her go to the end of her rope, start on the back of her body, and wet her down. Flea control is difficult. You can't just bath the cat. You have to treat her environment as well because that's where the immature forms of the fleas live. A flea has an egg, a larva, a pupa, and the adult flea. And the only one that you can kill effectively is the adult with conventional pesticides. Although there are some new products that allow you to prevent the immature forms from maturing into the adults, which is really useful. Flea shampoo has to be used liberally. When you're bathing your cat, try not to make your cat just sit in one spot. Go with the flow. Be easy about it. And if she'd like to move around a little bit, allow her to, because that'll make her feel more comfortable. We usually don't have too much difficulty with cats, but one trick that you can use if your cat's being really difficult is to take an old screen from a screen door and allow the cat to grip that with their toenails. That sometimes gives them something to grip on other than your arm. Got to do each leg. And be generous with the shampoo. Flea shampoo doesn't work instantly. It has to sit on the animals for about 10 minutes. So you should be prepared. Get yourself a magazine or just stand with your cat for 10 minutes while the flea shampoo, the insecticide, kills those fleas. Okay, so we've got her thoroughly lathered on her body, but we haven't done her head yet. And what we want to do is take a little bit of the lather and place it on her face. Being really cautious not to get the flea shampoo in her eyes. There's a flea right there. Can you see that? See the flea walking on her face? . That's what I mean by the fleas moving up onto her head. Fleas have a really hard outside skeleton and exoskeleton, and in order to kill them you have to crush them between your fingernails on a hard surface. They can't just squash like other bugs. So Bijou has been patiently sitting for 10 minutes, and now we're going to rinse her. Again, we put the rope around her neck and her leg so she doesn't run off on us. You can hear one of our other patients barking up there. Again, we're careful to adjust the temperature of the water. We don't want it too hot. So she's trying to run away. Try and get her to run away from you so she doesn't hurt you. Rinsing is really important. The shampoo would be very irritating for her skin if we were to leave it in. Okay, we want to squeeze out the cat, and we want to squeeze out all the excess water out of her fur. We take her tail, and we take each foot and squeeze it. Get all the water out. Her belly. See the water coming from her? And at this point we have a flea-free cat. She's still really frightened. I don't think she's cold. We haven't been using cold water on her, so there's no reason for her to be chilly. We're going to take the rope off her now. She's been such a good girl. And we're going to towel her dry.
Cats will dry themselves thoroughly after their bath. To prevent chilling, keep the pet indoors for 12 hours following a bath. Although most cats are not fond of travel, you can make a necessary trip comfortable and safe by using a portable cage secured to the vehicle with a seat belt. Cats cannot perspire to control their body temperature, so be sure the cage is well ventilated and shaded throughout the trip. On long-distance journeys, take along food, water, and litter, and allow time for regular exercise and rest stops along the way.
Cats today live to be much older than they did a few years ago. When they get to be, with a male, I would say 8, 9, 10 years old, you should start to think of it as being entering the geriatric period. With a female, it's a little bit later, 10 years old probably. Then you have to start thinking about some of the things that are changing because the cat is aging.
Often the older cat's health will slowly deteriorate and it will be clearly in pain. Sometimes, although the cat is in no obvious discomfort, it may become perpetually irritable or lose control of its bladder or bowel functions. For the sake of the animal or the family, the most humane choice at this point may be to have a veterinarian euthanize the cat.
Euthanasia is not painful at all. It is exactly the same as having an anesthetic, an intravenous anesthetic. If you've ever had surgery, you know they gave you a shot and they wheeled you into the operating room and they put a needle in your arm and said, okay, count backwards, 10, 9, 8, and you're gone. And this is exactly the same type of medication that's given to the cat when it's euthanized. The only difference is we give far too much. We use a strong solution and we give a massive dose of it and it's instantaneous. Usually the animal is gone before we finish the injection.
The aging process in cats is subtle. Usually, the first change you will notice is that your pet has less energy and sleeps a good part of its time. Because of its reduced activity level, your cat will need smaller amounts of food.
When your cat gets older, there will probably be changes that are necessary in the cat's diet. There are many special prescription foods that are designed for various problems that the cat might have, and just for geriatric cats.
As your pet ages, annual vet visits continue to be a critical component of good cat care. An older cat often becomes less inclined to groom itself. It needs extra attention from you. Clean away any discharges which build up around the eyes, ears, and anus. Also, keep the claws trimmed. Provide for your pet's safety, happiness, and well-being with quality care. Cats are fascinating creatures, good pets, and fine friends. Although you may have many cats in your life, no two will be exactly the same, and you will develop a special relationship with each. As well as meeting your cat's physical needs, ensure that it is safe from hazards, disease, inclement weather, and the wrath of your non-cat-loving neighbors. The kitten that you choose today will very likely be with you 15 years from now. There will be food to buy and veterinarian bills to pay. Your love and attention will ensure that those 15 years are happy and hazard-free for your cat. Provide proper care over the lifetime of your cat, and you will be rewarded by the lifelong affection of your feline companion.